Hi, we have created this PowerPoint for you to go over how to become an Honor Club member. We know we have reached out to many of you about becoming a new member, and there's always questions about how to complete your application and how do I become a member. So let's go through some of the information. So what is our 4-H Honor Club? This is the first level of recognition in Tennessee 4-H. The first level of membership starts when you become a 4-H member, and then you become eligible for recognition levels. 4-H members who are in grades 6 through 12 as of January 1st are eligible for membership. And members must complete an application and have their 4-H agent submit it to the state 4-H office for final approval. Here in Tennessee, we do have recognition levels. Everybody starts out as a 4-H member, and the recognition level we're talking about today is our Honor Club. Once you're in Honor Club and get a little older into 9th grade, you can become an All-Star, and then Vol State is the highest recognition level for us, and that is reserved for our 11th and 12th grade 4-H members. So what does our Honor Club do? Well, this is a good way to meet other 4-Hers from across your county. If you're in a larger county like we are here in Putnam County, there may be kids that you don't go to school with and that you would like to make friends with and reach out to them, and maybe you share the same interest and same project areas. There's leadership roles. We do have officers in our Honor Club. Our officers are responsible for our meeting agendas each month, and they run the meeting and come up with the activities and projects that we're going to do. There's also leadership opportunities. Our 4-H Honor Club members are the first ones who get picked for some extra leadership opportunities. Sometimes it's attending 4-H clubs with us to help out with the lessons. It may be a speaking engagement with some of our partner organizations in the county, but we usually try to pick our Honor Club members first for those special occasions. We do citizenship projects or service learning projects in our Honor Club. We do have a service chair officer who creates our project ideas and comes up with what we're going to do for each month. And then the agents, of course, help out by either getting supplies or contacting organizations as well. And of course, there's a little bit of fun involved, right? So it's a good way to hang out. We do have a social chair who comes up with fun activities for us to do at each meeting. We have little holiday parties in our group. So it's just a fun way to get together with other kids in our county. So let's look at the Honor Club application. And when we send this to you, sometimes it's a little scary because it is several pages long. But we're going to go through each section at a time and talk about what goes in there and maybe what doesn't go in there. So the first part of your application is pretty simple. It's just your information. This form is able to be typed. We prefer it to be typed, and that way you can always save it, send it to us to review before we do our final submission for your form. Let's look at the 4 sections of the Honor Club form. Section 1 is participation. This is going to record your participation in 4-H projects, activities, and other opportunities. This also includes the length that you've been involved in membership in 4-H, project you've been involved in, presentations that you have given, exhibits that you have presented, and also 4-H events and activities that you've attended. So you're going to notice on your form that it starts out with participation in 4-H projects, activities, and other opportunities, and it says length of membership. And it says the number of years enrolled in 4-H, including the current year. So for example, if you are a current 6th grader, because that's when we can start your application, you would get 2 points for 4th grade, 2 points for 5th grade, and 2 points for 6th grade, giving you a total of 6 points on your membership. Underneath that section, you're going to see Part B, which is the projects that you're involved in. And you're going to go through and think about what project areas you were involved in for each of your grade levels. Exploring 4-H is the general term for our 4th grade involvement, so everybody puts that for 4th grade. But as a 5th grader, if you were giving a lot of food demonstrations and you enjoyed the food science project, maybe that's your project. Forestry, wildlife, and fisheries, a lot of our 4-Hers who are involved in forestry and wildlife judging at an early age put that down as their project. If you are showing animals such as horse or beef or goats, that would be your project for that grade level. So think about the things that you've been involved with in your 4-H time, and that would be your project for that year. Each of those is worth 2 points. The next section you're going to see on there is Part C, participation in individual or team presentations. Now this is going to include any speeches, demonstrations, interactive exhibits, interviews, oral reasons, illustrated talks, or media presentations that you've given. And you'll notice here that you're going to give the type of presentation it was. For example, at 4th grade, this person gave a demonstration on bread basics. And then you're going to mark for each level that you presented. So this person presented their bread basics in their club, which is the L local level, 1 time. And each presentation is worth 4 points. As a 5th grader, this 4-H'er did a demonstration on homemade hard candy. Well, that presentation was given in their club. Looks like they advanced to the county level. And then they also presented at the regional level, which for that grade level would be a sub-regional or multi-county level. So they do get credit for each of those presentations for a total of 12 points. So you're going to list each individual speech or demonstration on the separate lines here, and make sure you include your grade and the title or topic of your speech or demonstration. The next section you have is exhibits. And these are items prepared for display at 4-H meetings, fairs, shows, contests. The list goes on and on. So this would be if you're showing your animals, you would count the animals that you've shown for like beef shows, goat shows, horse shows. If you're doing fashion review, that counts here. 4-H posters, 4-H bread baking, the poultry chick chain show, and also items that you've prepared for the fair. So you can see this 4-H'er has listed several things for each grade, and each exhibit is worth 4 points. The final section in your 4-H participation is participation in 4-H events. So think about these are the contests that you're going to get to do. Conferences, our judging teams, project groups, share the fun, camps, Congress, roundup, and many more that can be counted. So what you're going to do on this section is you're going to list the grade in which you were when you participated, the name of the event. For example, the first one there is Region Forestry Judging, the place where the event was held. This is held in Lebanon, and each event is worth 5 points. So don't forget, if you notice a few things down there, State Archery Jamboree. If you're in a shooting sports program, those would count. If you're in a project group that meets on a regular basis, for example, if you are in like a shooting sports project group, a livestock project group, a line and design sewing project group, the memberships in that project group can also be counted here as well. Each of those are worth 5 points apiece. Section 2 of your Honor Club application is your leadership section. And this is probably the one section that most 4-H'ers struggle with when they're trying to get all of their points together. So let's look at the sections within this one. You're going to talk about leadership with helping individual 4-H members, your work with 4-H groups, your work at 4-H events, how you're a leader in your 4-H club or project group, and what you've done to promote 4-H. So as you start the leadership section of your Honor Club form, Part 2A is going to be leadership with individual members. So each member you listed, assisted can only be listed once, and you're going to get 5 points for each person. So think about someone that you have helped with a 4-H project. For example, this 4-H'er on their application listed Grant, and they had helped him set up his coop for when he was getting chickens. Well, if Grant as a 4th grader probably didn't know how to set up their coop, so if you helped him because you'd been raising chickens, then that would be assistance for that 4-H member. The second entry, they've listed Blake, and they've helped him study for wildlife judging. So maybe you met up with one of your friends who's on the team, and you guys went over information for a couple of hours. Then you help that member by preparing them for a contest. And the last entry they've got here is they helped a 4th grader named Maya, and they listened to a demonstration and offered tips. So if you sit there, even if it's a brother or sister, and you've sit and listened to their demonstration, their speech, and you offer them some helpful tips to make it a little bit better, then that's what we're talking about, working with an individual member. The next section on leadership is a little confusing, but you have to make sure you read it very carefully. It's leadership with 4-H groups. And you notice it says to list your experiences as a junior or teen leader with any of the following kinds of groups, other than a group or club of which you are a member. So think about a group that you are not a member of. So for example, this 4-H'er completing their honor club member, they were in 9th and 10th grade when they were working on their form. They physically could not be a member of the junior high forestry team because there's an age difference. They had aged out of that group. So for their leadership, they taught those younger members pacing for the competition, and then they also helped teach tree measurement to the new members. And so think about a group, and this is maybe a little tough if you're 6th or 7th or 8th grade, but there are times when you have been a junior leader to maybe 4th or 5th graders in your county, in your club, maybe in your project group. So think about ways that you have helped somebody in a group that you're not a member of. Section C, leadership at 4-H events. In our counties, there's a lot of 4-H events that go on. Sometimes we have 4-H'ers that are able to help, and sometimes we have special events that we get 4-H'ers to help. For example, this 4-H'er has listed a few special events. If your county hosts a National 4-H Youth Science Experiment Day, and you came and helped clean up and set up for that event, then that's going to count you for 5 points. Most counties have an Extension Month luncheon or Extension Month activities. This is where you've helped serve desserts and cleaned up after. A lot of counties are involved in paper clover. Our Putnam County Fair, we have a lot of 4-H'ers that help us take in entries during our youth department, the 4-H section at the fair. So think about things that you've done that would count for helping at a 4-H event. Part D of the leadership section is leadership in the 4-H club or project group of which you are a member. So now you're going to think about listing the offices you've held, committees you've served on, programs assisted with, and include leader training meetings you've attended. So for example, in this section, this 4-H'er in 6th grade was the secretary of their homeschool 4-H club. So they call the roll and take notes at the meeting. As a 4th grader, they were their team captain of Clover Bowl, so they helped teammates study and remind them of practices. And this 4-H'er has also been a member of their archery project group. And as a member of the project group, they've helped set up targets for practice and put out arrows for practice. So go through and think about the times if you've been on a team, if you're in a project group, if have been an officer in your school club or homeschool club, and list those here under the leadership in your club section. The final section in leadership is 4-H promotion. So these are where you're going to list things you have done to help promote 4-H in general, 4-H activities. You can be specific. If you did a 4-H poster or just a 4-H exhibit, that doesn't go here. That goes back in your exhibits category. So some basic promotion, word of mouth. Maybe you just talked to a lot of kids in your area. Maybe you talked to some kids at school and got them to come to practice with you. Personal calls. Maybe you've encouraged people to be involved in 4-H. I know it's a little bit of a stretch to put that we wore a 4-H archery t-shirt, but a lot of times, especially even adults, when we wear our 4-H t-shirts, people ask us questions, and sometimes a 4-H t-shirt can lead to a 15-20 minute conversation about what you're involved in 4-H and how you became a 4-H member of that project. And to me, that's a lot of promotion, getting out there and telling people what you do. So if you have trouble with this one, always talk to your 4-H agent, and we'll be glad to help you with that. Section 3 is citizenship. This is where you're going to list community service activities. And we just need to know here what grade you're in, what the activity was, your responsibility or what you did, and the number of hours that you completed that project. So if you look at this one, for 5th grade, this person made Christmas cards for the nursing home residents. They spent 2 hours doing that, and so that's 4 points. So each hour is worth 2 points. Think about things that you've done in your community that benefit other people, and list everything that you can, especially more important where you've had a lot of different roles or responsibilities, or if you were in charge of that community service activity. Section 4 is our leadership development. This section just involves you writing a paragraph describing your most rewarding experience as a 4-H junior or teen leader. You need to tell what you did and how your work affected others. So sometimes this is hard for our junior high or 6th, 7th, and 8th grade 4-H members to think about your most rewarding experience. So I would tell you to write a paragraph about your leadership experience helping out younger members, whether it was encouraging them to come to a 4-H judging team practice, if you help them get started in showmanship with their steer, if you encourage them to do the poultry project and help them set up their first chicken coop. It can be, it doesn't have to be real big. There's a lot of rewarding experiences in one-on-one project involvement with other 4-H members. But you do need to write a paragraph, and once again, 4-Hers, a paragraph is 5 sentences or more, right? And tell what you did. If you need to, tell how it made you feel, that you felt good giving back to younger 4-Hers. You felt good encouraging people to be involved. So once you've gone through each section of the 4-H Honor Club application, you're going to calculate your points. Depending on which form you download, it may calculate your points for you, which is really good. Section 1, 4-H participation, you're going to need 120 points. Remember, this is your project involvement, presentations, exhibits, and contests and events like judging teams and camps. Your 4-H leadership section is going to need 60 points. Remember, this is leadership in your club or project group, helping out at 4-H events, and working with other 4-Hers one-on-one. Your citizenship section needs 20 points. These are your community service activities where each hour counts for 2 points. All of those points total up to 200. That is the minimum that you need to become a Tennessee 4-H Honor Club member. Of course, some 4-Hers, when they get into working on their forms, realize that they have more points than that, and that is okay. But once you reach at least 200 points, you want to submit your application to the 4-H agents, have them review it. They may offer you suggestions. There may be some things that need to be moved to a different section, but have your agents involved as you go through working on your form. So at this point, if you have questions or need help, there's a couple of things you can do. You can give us a call at the Putnam County 4-H office. Our number is 526-4561, or you can email one of the 4-H agents. Mr. Trent or Miss Melissa would love to help you fill out your Honor Club application and get you to join our 4-H Honor Club group. So if you have any questions or need help, reach out to us. If you have other 4-H members that you know are already in the Honor Club, they can help you as well. But we would love you to become a member of our 4-H Honor Club and work your way up that Tennessee 4-H recognition ladder.